Tonight, we find ourselves stepping into the chilling shadows of the subconscious mind. Here, we will explore a trio of harrowing tales that blur the lines between nightmares and reality. These are not ordinary sleep-filled fantasies, but rather shocking narratives interwoven with fear. Brace yourselves as we unlock the horror concealed within the realm of dreams. Number 1. Nightmare's Embrace. Dreamt death, woke in Coffin. In the deepest recesses of your mind, where nightmares take hold, brewing in the darkness before reaching out and snatching you away into their cold and malevolent embrace, lays the chill-inducing tale we will unravel tonight. Imagine waking in a state of utter disorientation, with the acrid scent of damp earth penetrating your senses and an eerie silence encapsulating you. You groggily reach out and touch the closest material right next to your face, only to feel cold, unyielding wood. Suspicion slowly gives way to terror as you make the heart-stopping realization you've awoken inside a coffin, 6 feet under the ground. The life our protagonist John led was simple, uneventful, to the point of monotony. But there was something incredibly sinister about his dreams. Every night, he dreamt of the same horrifying sequence, his very own death. He would find himself in precarious situations, each more gruesome and terrifying than the last, only to eventually succumb to the inevitable fate, death. And the waking moment brought no relief, as John found himself going through the same hallucinogenic state of dying, and then inexplicably waking up in his all-too-familiar bedroom. From dying a horrible death in a car crash to being mauled by a bloodthirsty beast, John's sleep was marred by these hellish visions, his subconscious mind persistently painting vivid pictures of his demise. But one morning, John lazily awakened to a diminished sensory perception and a crippling sense of claustrophobia. Panic rising, he frantically pounded against the cold wood. The horrific realization of being buried alive sent him into a tailspin. John, as his dream had foreshadowed, had met his death. Was this another one of his hellish nightmares? One from which he would wake to find himself in the safety of his bed? No, this ceaseless darkness, this paralyzing dread whispered otherwise. As John grappled with his gruesome reality, a haunting truth sank its claws into him. What if his nightmares were not just figments of his perverse imagination, but sinister premonitions of a predetermined fate trying to warn him? And most chilling of all, was he truly dead, or trapped in an endless loop of his most feared dream? Unseen and shrouded in the dark confines of his burial chamber, an icy laugh echoed. Undeniably real, that wicked laughter suggested an unseen entity, a demonic puppeteer pulling the strings of John's horrific ordeal. Bathed in the pitch-black abyss, John felt a cruel finality settle into his bones. This was not the conclusion to a blood-curdling nightmare. It was his reality. His dreamt death had truly become his waking nightmare, a nightmarish embrace that held no promises of release. Number 2. Lucidity's Curse, sleep paralysis held by evil spirits. When we consider the concept of sleep paralysis, it's naturally unnerving. The notion of being consciously aware and yet bodily immobilized, unable to react or move, is indeed dreadful on its own. Now fuse that with the inescapable grasp of malicious entities. The result is a horror story that goes by the name of Lucidity's Curse. Our tale commences on a stormy night in the old town of Raven's Hollow, with an elderly woman named Abigail fightlong the clutches of sleep. Her eyes flickered against the aggressive glow of candles, her sole light source and protection against the shadows of her old weathered house. Insomnia, a cruel friend, had made itself known due to the chilling whispers of the wind against her creaky windows. She blamed it on bad weather and her fragile age. As the moon reached its peak, exhaustion finally took over, and she fell into a seemingly deep slumber. Little did she know, it was the beginning of a terror-filled crisis. She woke, to her horror, without control over her body. Abigail lay there, a helpless prisoner within her flesh and bones, aware of her surroundings but incapable of even a slight movement. From every corner of her dimly lit room, murky shadows began to swirl, amalgamating into grotesque forms of darkness. The terrifying visions were contrary to everything she had ever known. The shapes took form as evil spirits, accusingly pointed at Abigail, their translucent fingers extending impossibly. Their hollow eyes radiated a haunting red glow. Phantom voices filled her room, disembodied and echoing, revealing disturbing tales of Abigail's ancestry, of witch trials and blood pacts with dark forces. The ancestors she was once proudly boasted of were, in reality, despicable beings seeped in dark magic and unspeakable sins. The horrifying revelation was amplified by the torment of her unresponsive body. She was a mere spectator in her ghastly nightmare, enduring the accusations of her ancestry. Life suddenly seemed a deceit, while the truth was unwrapped in the terrifying paralysis of her sleep. Every night she would fall into the same cursed lucidity, waking up to the horrors of her past, held captive by evil apparitions. To what extent did the deeds of one's forefathers haunt successive generations? Abigail was trapped within this eternal question, going through the horrifying spectacle every night. The evil spirits, gleefully retelling blood-curdling tales of sin and deceit, seemed more real than her mind could comprehend. The sleep paralysis, an unwelcome spider's web of horror, was a curse she inherited from her ancestors, a constant reminder of a sinister past. Stories of doom are not just threads of scary bedtime tales. They take root in the depths of our reality, intertwining with lives like that of Abigail's. Sleep, the only escape from the horror of one's existence, could quickly turn into a chilling prison held by unseen forces from times long forgotten. Number 3. Visions of the Demented, Dream Revelations of Sinister Past. The terror of dreams can sometimes root from places where we least anticipate, from the skeletons hidden deep in our closets, festering up the secret haunts of our past. Such is the tale of Arthur, a haggard man dwelling on the fringes of the society, living out his days in a secluded cabin in the woods. Arthur was no ordinary man. From his youth he was plagued with prophetic dreams, often preluding grisly events that had yet to transpire in his life. Derided as a delusional freak, Arthur made his refuge in solitude. However, his escape to the woods proved to be ineffective. The dreams persistently aroused terror nightly. One recurring dream that shook him to his core was the revelation of a sinister past, drenched in blood and eerily connected with his secluded cabin. Every time his eyes shut, the dream began the same way. A violent murder of a woman in the cabin, a ghastly vision that inevitably ended with the woman's ghost haunting him with a vengeance. The wraith would whisper dreadful threats in his ears, promising retaliation, and awaken Arthur screaming every night. Deep-rooted fear soon intertwined with curiosity. Arthur resolved to unearth the gruesome past of his cabin, a revelation he hoped would bring him some elusive peace. He delved into stories by the fireplace at the local pub, studied old maps, and dug through court records. Steadily, a macabre tale began shaping itself. The cabin was once home to a man rumored to be a ruthless serial killer, whose victims were numerous innocent women. One grainy black-and-white photograph sent a chill down his spine. The woman bore a striking resemblance to the ghost from his nightmares. Terror crept upon him. The victim's unresolved spirit was haunting his dreams, confiding the grim truths hidden years ago. He felt the icy touch of fear as he realized that he was the lone audience to the poor woman's plea for justice. A plan hatched in his weary mind. On an ill-fated night, he set an invitation to the vengeful spirit, a seance replete with candles, pentagrams, and seance bells. At the stroke of midnight, the ghastly visage of the woman appeared. There was a shriek that echoed in the cabin, a blend of terror, rage, and relief from a tortured soul long seeking justice. The following morning, Arthur was found in his cabin, lifeless, an expression of terror permanently etched onto his face. In the corner, the seance bells were still echoing their ghostly toll. Arthur's demise remains a chilling tale among the locals of the town, a testament that some truths are better left buried. The past had reached out from the depths of his guilt-ridden dreams, latched onto his reality, dragging him down into the cruel descent of the horrific and unknown. Beware of what you dream, for dreams can indeed turn into terrifying nightmares. We've journeyed together through the haunting corridors of the dream world, exploring its darkest corners. If you've enjoyed this nocturnal exploration, please like our video and subscribe to our channel. We have more eerie tales from the realms of sleep, nightmares, and beyond coming your way. Until we next plunge into the abyss of bedtime horror stories, thank you for watching, and may your dreams be less terrifying than these.